very friendly in the tunnel between the two former Scotland teammates, Kim Little and Erin Cuthbert, ready to lead the two sides out here at Stamford Bridge. And Chelsea still in the FA Cup, seemingly the WSL title is beyond them. They've already wrapped up the League Cup a couple of weeks ago, beating Manchester United in the final. This, though, is the competition they covered, and the one that they have yet to claim. And the Blues need no more motivation tonight than to defeat their North London rivals and end Arsenal's hopes of going back-to-back in the Champions League, and while also pressing ahead with their own chase for a maiden European crown. So many storylines, so many subplots, and you wouldn't bet against them being a few more tonight. Another chapter in this storied rivalry between Chelsea and Arsenal. Bob Pansor, the only person to win the Champions League as a player and a coach, against Renee Slagers, who managed to guide Arsenal to last season's Champions League against the odds, beating Barcelona in Lisbon. Two changes for Chelsea from last week. The Aussie duo of Eddie Carpenter and Sam Kerr come in for Naomi Girma and Sandy Baltimore, who both dropped to the bench. Erin Cuthbert was rested the weekend for the win over Aston Villa. She returns to midfield and wears the captain's armband. Lauren James moves out wide. She has scored 3 in her last 5, including in the first leg, which has kept Chelsea in this tie. And Sam Kerr is the focal point of the attack. She has netted in the last 2 Chelsea appearances either side of the Asian Cup with her country. For Arsenal, 4 changes from the first leg at the Emirates. Van Domselaar starts in goal. Steph Catley replaces Laia Kadina in defence. Chloe Kelly and Beth Mee drop to the bench for Olivia Smith and Caitlin Ford out wide. Alessia Russo keeps her place in the number 10 position. She has the record for the most goals scored in a single edition of the Champions League, with her strike against Chelsea last week taking her to 8 goals. Stina Blackstenius leads the line and is in a rich vein of form herself, notching 3 in her last 4 games. And so, the stage is set. Frank Kirby, and we've asked everyone, pretty much, ever since we've arrived here at the stadium, what are we thinking? And I think that the general consensus is just more drama.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm expecting a very fast start from Chelsea. I think it's really important for them to get themselves going, get themselves in a good stead. I mean, they started very, very well at the Emirates last week and had some big chances, so I expect to see the same. I expect to see Arsenal maybe soak up a bit of the pressure and try and maybe let Chelsea feel that they're in the game and then try and hit them on the counter-attack. But it's in for a very, very good tie, and I think to make it more exciting for everyone watching, I think we want Chelsea to score first to make it have a little bit more drama. I mean, anyone apart from Arsenal fans, of course.
Yeah, should always caveat that comment with that. But yes, we are nearly ready, set for kick-off here. Lauren James will get us underway. And yes, Arsenal with a 2-goal cushion. Chelsea overturned a 2-0 deficit in this stage of the competition last season, trailing 2-0 to Manchester City, another English club. They managed to overturn that and go through to the semi-finals 3-0. They're going to have to do the same. a season of inconsistency for Chelsea pretty much throughout. For Arsenal, it just seems like, having started slightly slowly, they're now finding their feet.
Yeah, they are. They've really grown in confidence as the season's gone on. As you said, they started quite poorly. Probably dented their ambitions to win the title in terms of the way that they started, but they're definitely finding form now and probably coming into this game feeling really, really good about the position obviously that they're in with the scoreline, but also their performances in the league, and coming into this game they'll definitely have the confidence that they know that they can definitely score against the Chelsea side.
Ellie Carpenter with the throw. Arsenal's excellent defensive record was slightly dented at the weekend, but a 5-2 win in the North London derby against Tottenham Hotspur. Sonia von Pastor was vocal, to say the least. Some of the decisions by the officials last week, but time to refocus. Yes, a reminder, we do have VAR in operation.
It's already getting spoken to, the time wasted in the first minute.
That must be some sort of record. They've got 90 seconds on the clock.
I like that she's done it though, get it in early so then they don't continue to do it throughout the rest of the first half. Get it in early and get her worried.
Frida Farland is the referee of Denmark, and she means business. You're right, good to stop that out straight away, because it's not what the paying crowd want to see. But you can understand it from an Arsenal point of view, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Chelsea would be doing the same if they also had the cushion. I truly believe that.
Erin Cuthbert wearing the captain's armband in the absence of Millie Bright. A lot of notable absentees in the Chelsea team. Russo trying to turn, no free kick, no foul. Chelsea play on. Here is Cuthbert. What do you make of this Chelsea setup plan? Again, going with the back four?
Yeah, I think it suits them definitely, because I think they want more players in the midfield. You can see Erin Cuthbert is going a bit higher, and Shokunuskin is also going higher on the other side. They're trying to adapt the 2-10s to try and force Arsenal back a little bit more. Maybe that will open up more space for Kira Walsh, and also give Lauren James the freedom to go where she wants, which we know she likes to do that.
She's running from one side to the other. Slightly alarming performance against Aston Villa. They conceded early, went 3-1 up, went to 3-3. Eventually they got over the line with a brilliant Nuskin strike to win 4-3, but very un-Chelsea-like in recent seasons. James delivers early on. Nuskin on the end of it, and a corner kick is given.
Yeah, Chelsea have looked up for the ball very well in the opening minutes. Arsenal have soaked up the pressure a little bit. Lauren James, she just sees the area, she wants to put it in. Nuskin gets across, and yeah, gets the team a corner. Yeah, it is a corner, it comes off towards the Arsenal head.
Walsh towards the back post, the dangerous header. Kerr with the hang time to win it, and cleared by Russo.
Yes, positive start from Chelsea, getting the ball into the box, they're playing fast flicks, they're making the movement, rotations. Alyssa Thompson now out on the right hand side, making it difficult for Arsenal to really pick up their movement.
Russo taken out, and yes, the referee pulls that back for a free kick. Advantage didn't materialise. Early purpose from Chelsea, which is exactly what is required. Stinius going to cause a few problems. Fired forward by Bronze. Renee Slager's appointed in October of 2024 as interim and then permanently. I feel like both teams actually both squads will have quite a new look to them come the start of next season.
Yeah, a lot of players out of contract. A lot of changes, I think, will come for both teams.
James picking it up deep. Finds Carpenter. Early ball in. Over the head of Kurt. Decision is given to Arsenal.
I think the difference for Chelsea this week is having Sam Kerr in the box. Ellie Carpenter there, she looks up and she's putting the ball into the box. She wants to get Sam Kerr 1v1 in there with a centre-back. They didn't have that against Arsenal last week in terms of having that focal point, that number 9. And I think it gives Chelsea a different dynamic because they know they can deliver it and they know they've got a threat in there. And that will be massive for them in this game.
And she is just such a breath in the air.
One of the best.
Promising start from Chelsea. Not really been this season in attack where they've been lacking defensively. Looking a little bit more vulnerable than in recent seasons. Buchanan. Did well by Berman. It's found Nuskin. Cuthbert spreads the play to Carpenter. Excellent ball. First touch by Carpenter is a good one. A bit of a lucky ricochet. Oh, it's placed wide by Nuskin. What an opportunity for the early goal.
It's a fantastic pass by Erin Cuthbert and the touch from Ellie Carpenter. We know she has speed, but to get that touch, it's perfect. Katie McCabe can't get up. I wonder here, should she send it back to Lauren James? Lauren James is the one problem. I mean, it's a fantastic pass and choking Nuskin in his face. I want Lauren James to have that shot. I want her to be the one that's in the box and pulling the trigger. It's a fantastic play all around from Chelsea, and it just shows the intent that they're going into with this game.
Really well worked. No foul. Referee has let this one go as well. So very similar to the winning goal, actually, wasn't it, against Aston Villa? The quick steps, although that was from Kurt and Nuskin who put that one away.
Ellie Carpenter also involved in that move as well.
Just showed her pace there. Was really second best to get to that, but beat McKay in that foot race.
One thing that Arsenal do really well is where you see with Olivia Smith, she's trying to stop the switch. The space is on to go over the top. Caitlin Ford as well, she's now worried. Look, she's dropping off, she's worried about Ellie Carpenter and Lauren James on the outside. So the space is coming all the way across in. The switch is going to be on every time into that space, and I fancy Ellie Carpenter every time in a foot race, probably against anyone in the league.
Pace and power, and also good end product, good delivery. It must be tough going all the way to the final in the Asian Cup. Ellie Carpenter and Sam Kerr with Australia, and then losing in the final to Japan. Well won back by Lauren James. Just a little bit too in front of Nuskin, that pass from Cuthbert. Anyone can calm things down. It is Kim Little for Arsenal, making her 91st Champions League appearance tonight. Bronze under pressure from Blackstenius and taking no risks to get out of play.
I think that's going to be a massive part of Arsenal's play. So you can see they're just soaking up the pressure. They're not jumping out. They're not trying to be aggressive in the front press. They're letting Chelsea have the ball. So Blackstenius has got to be ready to do that probably the majority of the game, because they're going to look to counter and get her in a foot race, and she'll fancy her chances.
That's where she's at her best. Throw. Taken forward. Nothing more. Smith works his way to Russo. First effort. fairly easy take for Hannah Hampton.
Yeah, sort of play. I don't know how much Olivia Smith means. I think she's looking to play it back into Kim Little, but gets a little bit lucky here. You know, Russo outside the box. She's gonna take her chances. Just not in the corner enough. Not enough conviction.
How do you like this sort of partnership, I guess, with Laxinius and Russo?
I really like it. It was a question mark that I had majority of the season.
Olker trying to get around Van Donstelaar.
I think she was offside.
Yeah. The flag goes up belatedly, as we're used to.
Yeah, no, I really like the partnership. It was a question that I had at the beginning of the season. How do you make them work together? Because we know that Russo wants to get involved in the play more, and she's fantastic at doing that as a number 10. I want her to get on the ball more because I know she can link, she can create. And then you have Laxinius, who's the one who stretches the back line. She's the one that creates the space for Russo. It's a very unselfish role, that kind of number 9, and it probably goes a little bit under the radar a little bit because you're the one that's pushing the line back, so players like Russo, Caldente can come and get on the ball in them spaces, and now they found the formula that works, whereas previously they couldn't quite work it out, so it wasn't working, you know, last season, the beginning of this season, but now it looks like they've created that partnership where they understand each other a little bit more.
It's certainly been a work in progress, but one that is really successful so far. So Arsenal still with the 2-goal cushion, 3-1 advantage. With switch this time. It's cut out, although only momentarily. One back by Carpenter. Nuskin turns inside. Here goes Ellie Carpenter again. Really good challenge from Woodenboy. Perfectly timed.
Really, really good from Lotta Woodenboy. Saw the danger, came across, saw that Carpenter the pace. So that's the outball. That's the outball every time. Whenever Erin Cuffer gets the ball and looks up, the outball is over Caitlin Ford. Yes, she makes a little mistake, but they get it and they still create from it. That is the outball every time now until Arsenal figure out how to stop that switch.
No one engaging McCabe here. Allowed to take a shot.
Not really someone you want to allow to drive that close towards goal. It's Bronze just holding off. Very good tackle.
Well, she's been speaking ahead of this game, saying she's found her rhythm. Found chances in the team, hard to come by early on. But she's playing exceptionally well. Woodenboy. She's always had to be so patient for club and country, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you need a rhythm. You need a flow to find your form, to find your match fitness, to find all these things. And she's taken that in her stride. Of course, you also have to profit off maybe others not being available, which is also a part of waiting, having the patience, knowing that your time will come. And she's done that, and she's taken it on. And you can see they're also going into a back 3, so she's looking more to get on the ball, but she's someone who she's had to be patient, she's had to bide her time, and she's taken the chances that she's got it. And there was another example there of her reading the game. That's match fitness, that's alert, that's knowing who you're playing against.
Arsenal just take a little bit more of the ball after the early pressure from Chelsea. Little to Smith. Now Caitlin Ford with a bit of room to manoeuvre here against Carpenter. Ford. Tease that ball in. Lauren James is clear. As far as Mariona Caldente. Lays it off for Little. Good strike. Chelsea bodies in the way.
This is where I felt Chelsea struggled last week when Arsenal went into a back 3. They didn't know how to adapt. Erin Cuthbert stepped up, but then she left a massive gap in the midfield, which gives Kira Walsh a lot more work to do. And this is where I felt they struggled, especially when they lost a bit of momentum in the first half, in terms of working out how to press, how are we going to deal with this, how do we stop the spaces. And Arsenal have gone into a back 3 now, and getting on the ball a lot more than they were in the early start. They've soaked up the pressure very, very well.
Trying to get away from Carpenter, she's done just that. Caitlin Ford again. Really could have done a lot better with that. Worked the opportunity very well.
Yeah, it's really intelligent play. She stands still and gets Ellie Carpenter a standing start. gets like this touch here, going across her, is so dangerous because Ellie can't touch her. She's got in front. She has to do better, I think, with the finish. I think she has to angle it a little bit more.
Berman. Now Thompson. James picking up a bit of space. Bronze. Sizing it up. Thompson! Fell nicely for her. Again. Snatch finish.
Really good build-up play from Chelsea. Fantastic from Lauren James to take the ball all across. Gets a little bit lucky with the flick. Very, very close. She takes it well. She hits it firm. She has to get it on target though, in them areas, in the box. She has to work the goalkeeper a little bit more, snatch it a little bit, have a little bit more composure, I think, in them moments. She had time. She probably had more time than she thought.
Chelsea tried to get it forward quickly, but cleared up nicely. Fox, Sam Smith. Again from the first leg, they had a few chances that they didn't put away, and when they did, they felt that it should have been given. Chelsea don't want to live to regret being wasteful again. Comfort takes control. They're looking for that switch.
It's the right idea. It's the right idea from Cuthbert. I think Lauren James has to be ready for it. She has to be ready to move into the ball. She wants the ball to feet. Actually, it's a little bit like the Ellie Carter situation. She's ready to go. Her first touch to take her hard to take in case. She's got the speed and the strength to hold her off. She just has to anticipate that a little bit more instead of just wanting the ball to come to her feet. She has to be ready to go.
Finds Russo. Option here. Playing in Fox. Berman first time to Thompson. Again, it's very, very quick. So is Olivia Smith.
It's a good race, this one.
So who's your money on? She's got super company now. Thompson.
Done very well to gain some yards, so take her team up the pitch, get it out of the danger area where you can turn the ball over, and now they can possess the ball a little bit. It's really clever from Thompson to just get her team up the pitch.
Chelsea team still full of superstars, but the likes of Thompson still fairly inexperienced in these situations. Their first Champions League campaign. Here's Nuskin. He's tiptoeing her way through to a shooting opportunity, picked up by Thompson, and now Cuthbert. Carpenter in space, went for the shot, charged down by McKay. Now Arsenal will try and get themselves out. Bronze, the ball that Hampton deals with typical composure.
If Chelsea concede, then the game's gone away. If Arsenal concede, then Chelsea are straight back in it and have the momentum. So it's probably going to be a little bit cagey until one of the teams score, or it gets into the second half and Chelsea get a little bit more desperate.
James with strength and the vision. Out Berman now. Thompson. Again, two Arsenal players around her. Needs a bit of support. She does well. Keeps possession, finds Buchanan. James. Walsh to Thompson. What she was trying to do there. Running behind from Cuthbert. see it. Taking on Burman, makes a good challenge.
Yeah, it's a really good challenge. Olivia Smith fancied herself. She fancied herself to go 1v1, and 9 times out of 10 she normally wins them ones, but Burman gets back in really well. It's a really well-timed challenge, and it's a good one as well, because you can see in the box, Alessia Russo, I think, was completely free. So if she gets her touch in front of her there, there's a lot of options for Arsenal in the box.
Took the ball, and Smith as well. She's been exceptional, actually, having a run in the Chelsea side.
Really grown into it, and she's still very young and very inexperienced, but she's just taken it completely in her stride, and she's probably become one of the first names that you put on the team sheet for the way that she's performed. And another reason maybe why Germa is out of the team, because of someone like her.
McCabe's corner towards the near post, it's dangerous. It's hit well. There's too many bodies in the box. Smith coming on to that one. McCabe swings it in. Wooden-Moy. Buchanan on the end of that block. Ball out to Carpenter. Now James. Chops back inside. To play in Thompson. Playing by Van Donkellaert.
It's the out pass every time for Chelsea, down their right hand side with Ellie Carpenter, with Lauren James. Lauren James is just dropping off a little bit, so Ellie Carpenter can just play a simple pass. Not sure Alyssa Thompson is the one that you want to be lofting the ball into the box with, but we know what Lauren James wants to do. She wants to come inside, she can hit both left and right foot with no backswing, and she can generate that power. They've got to use that a little bit more, I think, Chelsea. Get it out there as quick as they can.
Down the other end. Caldente. Ford. Just behind Russo. Caldente. Again, Buchanan. With the good positioning to repel the effort. 4 times the Champions League winner. Caldente 3 with Barcelona. Last season. Haven't seen too much of Sam Kerr, but sometimes we've said that, and then the inevitable happens.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult as a number 9 when you're playing against a team that gets so compact. It's more about the movement off the ball. She's got to find a way to stretch that back line a little bit. Maybe Chelsea also have to just put the ball in behind a couple of times, get a run in, get the centre-back Lotte Wooden-Moy definitely worried about Sam Kerr. Then the space will open up for her. But at the moment it's quite static. She just has to move a little bit, to do a run, even if the ball doesn't come, make the run, try and push them back a little bit, because then the space will open up for herself as well.
Yes, Blackstenius offside. Good line from Chelsea. Malacco by design. This is a really excellent passing move from Arsenal, although Russo turning away from Walsh. Just oozing confidence, Alessia Russo. Now Smith. Space here for Caitlin Ford. Ford with the toe poke.
I don't know if the right decision to shoot there. I think they've worked it so well, Alicia Rousseau. And I really like the run from Blackstenius. She takes the defenders away. Here you can see, lovely turn. Blackstenius comes across and creates a space for Olivia Smith, so then she can drive into. Plays it out wide. I think Hayden Ford, yes, I don't think she gets it far enough away from Ellie Carpenter to get an actual solid strike. I think if she holds it a little bit, she can link, she can play, do the different things, but I don't think it was the right decision in that moment because I don't think her touch was out enough to create it.
Ardente, was that mistimed? Referee happy with that one. Luskin sliding in, almost in slow motion. Let's have a look at this.
I think Caldente sees the challenge coming, but she does make contact. I think in them situations for the officials, it's either a corner because she's won the ball, or it's a foul because she's gone through her. So I'm not really sure where the goal kick comes from, but I think it was a foul.
And how about this? Olivia Smith penalised for harrying Kadisha Buchanan. Letting the game flow a little bit, but a couple of decisions there. Towards her. Smith with the turn, manages to keep it in, but Berman there.
I think she gets away with one there. I think she should have just released the ball to Buchanan. I think coming back in, she's created the more danger for herself from the pressure from Olivia Smith, and I think she gets a little bit lucky with that decision actually.
Disallowed header that results in the fury of Chelsea team and head coach. Confidently done, Emily Fox with Moy as well, happy to receive in a tight situation. Too confident by Emily Fox, really. Putting it in a dangerous area. Good win from Fox. Now the play.
Likes them ones. She likes the long passes into the fullbacks. If you read it and you can nick it, it creates a lot of problems for Chelsea because they are so expansive when they play. And centre-backs get really wide. Lucy Bronze and Buchanan, the distances between them. Buchanan, you have to get up. You have to sprint up now. The gap is huge. It's absolutely massive if they turn the ball over.
Carpenter in behind. A brilliant ball. No one on the end of it.
Very, very close. Really clever from Carpenter. Just puts the ball across. It can either take a deflection from the defender, Sam Kerr, you can see she's busting her gut to get there. She's just not in there at the right time. Really good from Lotte Moy. That little touch there on Sam Kerr, it just puts her off. I don't think she would have got there anyway, but to be able to make that touch and make contact, just let her know I'm here, it's really, really clever.
Corner for Chelsea. Delivers, good distance on the punch from Van Donslaar, retrieved by Walsh, Carpenter. James, and foul, looking dangerous. Flips that through to the far corner.
Lauren James is the danger. She's the absolute danger for Arsenal. She's the one that's going to create something, and that's why Sonia has given her this role of go and get involved as much as you can, go and do what you can. Others will fill in around you, and this is what she can do. She's always a danger.
Past the half-hour mark. Thompson, Kerr, beautiful interplay, it's Thompson! Half finish, a really excellent Chelsea move.
Really nice, really swift, really crisp. Sam Kerr getting involved, she's come and linked up, another link up. Fantastic slide from Sam Kerr here into Thompson. Great first touch, goes across blocking with a Moy. She either has to hit the target, or for me as a player, she has to square it to Shokunuskin, who's more central. She hasn't got in a defender in front of her, but it's a fantastic move. And of course, she is someone who can score them goals. The first touch, I think, to go across the blocker with a Moy sets it up perfectly. Really productive first season, despite Chelsea's general struggle. 9 goals, no competition for Thompson, joining in the summer. Fouls you're going to see. Clever from Rousseau again. Really strong, really technical, holding the ball up, turning, and also it's cynical from Eddie Carpenter, but you've got to do it. You've got to take it because she's going to go forward and progress with the pitch.
Okay. Thompson only had it for a nanosecond. It was won back by Rousseau. Strong but fair challenge, but that one wasn't. A trip and a free kick for Arsenal in a good position here.
It was a bit of a mix-up there. I felt Thompson had it under control, and then Buchanan got involved, and then it ended up at Arsenal foot. That's not a foul. Just getting each other's way.
What about this one? Just a little clip.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing, Buchanan. She knows that she's lost the ball's going towards Chelsea goal, little clip. Good opportunity here for Arsenal with the likes of Katie McCabe, Caldente.
Pretty far out. Interesting to see if someone takes on the shot. It's McCabe. Ball does its job. Catley. Fired against by Carpenter for a Chelsea goal kick. For you on iPlayer, we have the Super League London Pulse against the Birmingham Panthers. That's on Saturday. We start at 4:45 on the iPlayer. We also have live boxing for you on Saturday. Lauren Price against Stephanie Pinheiro, BBC 2 at 8 o'clock, and you can watch the undercard from 6 o'clock on iPlayer. Very tight over on that side of the pitch. play forward down the line.
Just needs to be a little bit more patient, I think, Chelsea. They're starting to lose it a little bit. They're trying to go a bit longer. They were having so much joy with just keeping the ball over one side and switching it, and now Hannah Hampden, she's pinging longer balls. It's not accurate enough. It's not going to the correct person there. You don't want Lauren James in a duel with Katie McCabe. Ellie Carpenter's come inside to create the overload. How can they use the players they've got? Lucy Bronze is standing to the right-hand side. Play it to Lucy Bronze. Draw Arsenal out. Try and make them move. They did that at the beginning, and now it looks like they're just losing a little bit of composure and trying to go a little bit longer.
Nuskin. Thompson has the pace to keep that in. Lovely thing. Oh, claims for a handball. Not too many, you've got to say, from the players. Of course, it will be looked at in the background.
Don't think it's the right decision from Alyssa Thompson to cross that. There was more players on the edge of the box. Just need to be a little bit calmer with goal kick.
Absolutely right. Lucy Bronze.
But Chelsea are really struggling with Arsenal's back three. They're really struggling, and Caldente peeled out there, which created even more of an overload on the left-hand side. And they're not sure who's going to press. I'm not sure if they've gone through it after what Arsenal did to them last week, but I would like to think that they've gone through and saw what happened and gone, okay, if they go into a back three, this is how we're going to set up, this is how we're going to press, you're going to go forward, you're going to go here. But it looks like they're having the same problems. They're not working it out, they're not understanding who's going to go and press, especially when Catley has the ball on the left-hand side. Who's dealing with McCabe, who's dealing with Caldente? It's causing them all kinds of problems.
So, referee reminding the Arsenal players that really afford to take their time. The throws, free kicks, goal kicks. McCabe on Carpenter's tail and free kick. Again, fairly easy decision there for the referee.
Not really necessary. She's got her back to goal. She's running backwards. I think Katie McCabe's just done that as a, I'm here. I'm here. I'm following you.
I think Carpenter was well aware without the shirt pull.
Looked like a handball there from Erin Cuthbert, so if something comes from this, it'll be interesting to see what VAR does.
Like it did just pop up on her arm, but the momentum of this move has decreased. Buchanan, he tried to slip that through for Nuskin, but read by Ruben Boy. Kept in by Caitlin Ford. Good ball. Finds Thompson. Against her United States teammates in Emily Fox. Well-timed challenge from Lauren James to prevent Russo from scurrying away.
Yeah, she bailed her teammate out there. It was a bit of a sloppy pass.
James, dangerous ball in and, well, cleared. Catley is down. Looks like Olivia Smith took a risky touch there before making that clearance, and now Steph Catley is down and staying down.
Looks like she was holding her calf. Maybe she just felt something as the play progressed. The push off. I think she's waiting for the danger to get cleared before she sits down, because she wants to still be in it. It looks like when she went to push off, when she went to go backwards when the ball came in, she just felt something go. I think it was her calf.
This is a real issue for Steph Catley. I'm sure she'll want to try and at least attempt to continue.
I mean, normally it's the goalkeeper, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking, is this a tactical timeout? But they've mixed it up a bit.
Doesn't look like
the pitch.
Doesn't look like she's comfortable over there jogging.
I wonder if we might see.
She just said, "I'm not sure."
Will she try and carry on and we won't see her after the break? That sometimes happens. Or is it too risky to keep her out there? So Arsenal down to 10.
I mean, she's obviously starting centre-back. She's playing her in the game. But also at the same time, you don't want to make it worse.
James with the cross. Ooh, bounces wide again. You can see James gesticulating there, wanting a bit more movement.
Yeah, it's just the aggression, I think, in the run. You know Lauren James now. You know when she gets the ball, she's coming inside. 9 times out of 10, she's crossing that ball. Get in front. Alyssa Thompson, bust the gut, get in front. She gets in front of Fox there. It's fantastic defending from Fox. She just uses her body to keep her away. Bust the gut to get there. As soon as Lauren James comes inside, you know she's going to deliver the ball. Get yourself in there.
And it looks like Steph Catley is not going to be able to continue. In the meantime, Arsenal on the attack. Ford, James on the retreat, makes the challenge. Taylor Hines is going to be getting ready to come on.
I wonder if that means Kate McCabe's going to go into centre-back as she did last week. I think that will be more likely the outcome.
Interesting. She did a job there, but certainly not her stable position, although it has been pointed out she's pretty much played everywhere for this Arsenal team. Free kick, and a good one. Won by Alessia Russo, with Arsenal now ready to make the change. So Steph Catley is off. Taylor Hines on in her place. There's some interesting choices. Like Adina is on the bench. She's turned to Taylor Hines instead.
Yeah, I mean, she took her off at half-time last week and came out and said there was a tactical decision, so I think that tells you everything. And she did struggle in the first half. I think she really struggled with the pace in behind. Alyssa Thompson was really on it in the first half, first 30 minutes, so I think that tells a lot of the story that you're bringing your left back in to create her into the centre back and not bringing on a centre back.
So 1 minute of time added on, a few seconds left. Russo, the ambitious pass towards Caitlin Ford.
I'd like her to try, we know she's a risky player, but I felt the one out to Olivia Smith was probably the easier pass, but I mean, you don't mind players taking risks if she thinks that she's driving. It's unlike her normally to make the wrong decision in them moments.
Nuskin. Went up for 3 minutes actually, so makes a bit more sense. We have had a few stoppages. Here's Ruben Moy stepping out and playing in Caitlin Ford. Again, Lauren James doing really good defensive work. And I think the right decision.
Yeah, I think so. I think she's just stronger. She's just stronger, and then as you said, doing the work to get back. We know that she likes to roam a little bit in possession. But to see her doing that work is probably a lot of the criticism that Lauren James gets in terms of her work rate. And yeah, she was always going to win that 1v1 with Caitlin Ford when it became more about strength.
No pressure on the forward. Buchanan has it. Be happy with that. Sends it forward.
The midfielder from Chelsea has to get involved a bit more. You can't rely on Hannah Hampton and just the two centre-backs. You have to get involved. Kira Walsh, come and get the ball off Hannah Hampton. Come and get involved in the game. Try and play forward. Nuskin, also, come and get involved a little bit more. Everyone's staying away, staying away. You need to come and give them a hand. You can't always just force the pass every time.
So no time for the free kick. Half time. No goals in the first period. Couple of half chances, but so far so good from an Arsenal perspective. They preserve their 2-goal cushion. They still lead by 3 goals to 1 on aggregate. Goalless at the break at Stamford Bridge. And again, I think you said it, Fran, it's all to do with who gets the first goal. That still remains the case, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it's a bit of a weird one. I think both teams will go in happy at half-time. I think Arsenal will be happy with the way that they defended. They soaked up pressure. They created chances as well off the counter-attack. Chelsea also, I would say for the first 25 minutes, Chelsea would have been happy with the way that they started the game. The intensity, the pressure that they put on. Started to dip a little bit when they tried to play a little bit longer. I think they need to be a bit more braver in the midfield, use the centre-backs a little bit more to drive forward, create chances. But yeah, it's all to do for it with the first goal.
Well, let's have a quick look at how the first half played out. So plenty of efforts, none on target for Chelsea, a couple from Arsenal, although both of those were very, very easy for Hannah Hampton. Anything that stands out to you there, Fran, at all?
I think the amount of shots Arsenal have had, it doesn't feel like that when we're watching it from the side. It doesn't feel like they've had 11 shots, but I think it makes sense with Chelsea having more possession in terms of Arsenal dropping off a little bit more, allowing them to have the ball. I mean, it's concerning for Chelsea that they haven't had a shot on target, and whether that's because they've made the wrong decision in the area, so they haven't been in a position where they can. And also, you're looking at the Thompson chance. She has to get it on target, work the goalkeeper, do something. So I think when you look at it like that, it doesn't surprise me with the stats.
So, goalless at the break here at Stamford Bridge. 45 minutes for Chelsea to get themselves back in this tie and turn it around. At the moment, it is Arsenal who will be progressing to the semi-finals. Half-time, Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, thank you. And Fran, Ellen White and Steph Horton watching this one alongside me. Has this played out exactly as we thought in terms of being quite cagey so far?
I think, yeah, in terms of quite cagey. I do think that Chelsea came out the fastest. I think they might be a little bit disappointed not to be 3-0 up at half-time. They had some really great chances. You know, we saw on the stats there they had none on target. I just think that desire and intent and want to get on the end of a cross or want to score a goal isn't quite there yet. They're not being ruthless enough. They're going a bit too long. They're not possessing the ball in midfield, which is a frustration. But Arsenal have been brilliant in very much soaking up that pressure again. But when they have had that opportunity to pass the ball, get touches on the ball and kill the momentum, I think they've done that very well.
Fran made a really interesting point at the end of that first half about wanting the midfield to come and get involved a little bit more to help dictate the play, help her teammates out. Do you agree?
Yeah, of course. I think obviously Lauren James is a key player for Chelsea. I think in terms of in that midfield, you've got Nuskin, who's made really good runs in advance and trying to get involved, and of course Alyssa Thompson as well. She's been really direct and trying to get herself in the box. But I think even from a defensive point of view, if the midfield can get that little bit closer to each unit, I think when them transitions happen, it makes it a little bit easier to get the ball back if they do lose the ball, because we know that Chelsea make really risky passes in midfield. So if you're actually that little 5-10 yards closer, when the ball breaks down, you're closer to the ball to try and get it back. So I think, like what Ellen said, I think in terms of what Chelsea have done over the first 20 minutes especially, I think they brought pace, they brought intensity, and they created some chances as well.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of those chances then, because as we heard, no shots on target so far. But what's been more incisive? What's been better about this Chelsea attack?
I think they've been using the width really well. They get bodies in the box. This is a lovely one that Nuskin, she scored the winner against Aston Villa at the weekend. It was exactly the same, a carbon copy of that. But they've been done really well on that right-hand side with Carpenter, and Lauren James has kind of been moving around as well. But, for me, Thompson needs to get in the box quicker and faster. But Lauren James has been absolutely phenomenal this time. Just taking it by the scruff of the neck. She's everywhere. She's constantly on the ball, scanning all the time, passing, wanting to be on the ball and create something out of nothing. And that's been key for Chelsea when they've been creating chances there.
Yeah, massively. In both these chances, you notice how many bodies are in and around the box. And I think that's been a strength of Chelsea's part in this game. But I think, especially in that first, when you've got bodies across the box, you've got bodies going across the keeper. And I think for me, the biggest thing for Chelsea, which was evident in the last game, but in this game, is that composure, that awareness, that you've probably got a little bit more time. And it just shows how desperate this team wants it. And I think especially down this right-hand side, Ellie Carpenter against Kate McCabe. Probably Kate McCabe's going to move into centre-half, but that has caused Arsenal a problem. I think her pace, her power, but also that's a fantastic ball. That is, from Chelsea's point of view, that needs to be back in the net, especially in the Champions League. You need that clinical to be able to score. And I think this was probably one of the moves of the game, that link up, that passing and play. But Alyssa Thompson just relaxed and just really just passed in the back of the net, because at this point Arsenal are really struggling.
Yeah, and I think when they're closer together, Steph made a great point on this left-hand side. They needed someone to kind of have that bounce pass, fill that space. And when they had those options, they were able to connect and really move Arsenal around and create opportunities. And you've got to be busting a gut into that box. And then you've got to be calm, composed. That finish by Alyssa Thompson, Russo, last week, touch, finish, is in the back of the net. That's the difference tonight.
Yeah, that's been the difference across the two legs so far, hasn't it, really? The clinical nature. You mentioned Lauren James there, Steph. We spoke about her pre-match, the fact that she relishes these occasions. As you said, everything that Chelsea have done well so far has had her involvement in some way.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think we're probably seeing she's playing off the left-hand side. She's been absolutely everywhere in this half, and I think her strength is running with the ball, and she makes it look so easy. But I think, for me, what Lauren James has improved on is that moment when to release and when to bring in a teammate. And I think, especially with Thompson, she's got this little bit of a connection. And I think from an Arsenal point of view, it's whether you go with her or you actually just let her drift across the pitch, because at times in this game, Arsenal have been really happy with Chelsea in front of that moment that Lauren James picks the ball, and even in a defensive point of view, is able to get back and tackle really well. She is their main danger, and I think she'll be disappointed with her Chelsea teammates, I think.
Yeah, and in that first half as well, Arsenal have been forced into a change in defence too. Not what Renee Slagers will want. How will that affect them as well?
It's similar to what happened, last week. They moved Kadina, subbed her off, McCabe went into centre-half, and Taylor Hines went on the left. It seemed to work quite well, and Renee Slagers said that McCabe didn't need any information at all to be a centre-half. So I think she's more than happy to be there.
Okay, well, plenty more analysis and the second half of course to come, but as it stands, it is Arsenal who will be going through to the Champions League semi-finals. They lead here 3-1. Second half to come very shortly, but a reminder, whoever does win this will face either Lyon or Wolfsburg in those semi-finals. Let's see what happens in the first leg last week in the company of Jonathan Pearce.
the bench. Conversely, Chelsea, well, they have the likes of Sandy Baltimore, but in terms of attacking options, they are slightly limited. No Akibiba Jones, who's out injured. Johanna Reeting-Canary not available, despite Sonia Bonpastor doing the typical manager's thing and saying she's definitely going to be available today. So yeah, a bit light, really. So perhaps more of a change of approach for Chelsea that's needed rather than personnel, although Baltimore, of course, has the quality to do something if she is introduced.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely think, looking at the two benches, Arsenal definitely have the stronger squad depth in this game, and they definitely have players who can come off the bench, like you said, Chloe Kelly, who could make a real big impact in this game.
Although Arsenal have been forced into a change in the first half with Steph Catley having to be substituted for Taylor Hines. So Katie McCabe, as she did last week, slotting in at centre half. So, I mean, Chelsea might feel that's an avenue to go down, her usual position. Here is Taylor Hines, and now Caitlin Ford. Russo winding up the shot, another one offside.
Yeah, positive start from Arsenal, getting themselves up the pitch, getting themselves into an area to get a shot off. Good pace of play, good touch. Maybe snatch at the shot a little bit. But coming back to your point on Kate McCabe, you know, she's a quality player and she reads through games really, really well. So for her, I think she just naturally slots into that centre-back position. She played it last week and was comfortable. So I don't think it will be an avenue that Chelsea will go, that's the weakness, that's where we need to go. Of course, she's out of position, but when they create the back three, she's still kind of on this left-hand side, and we know with her left foot, she's able to get herself out of situations that probably others would find difficult.
Has lost it. And she's hugged at Taylor Hines. And that's a yellow card, the first of the evening.
Yeah, I think it's correct. Taylor Hines does really well, pressures Ellie Carpenter, wins the ball back. A little bit slow from Ellie Carpenter. Gives it a little shove. I don't think it's enough though. I don't think it's enough to get a free kick for Chelsea. Clever from Taylor Hines, gets across. Minimal contact, but when you're in them areas you can't even slightly touch a player, and yeah, I think it's the correct decision. I think it's a free kick for the yellow card.
You could see her frustration at receiving that card, Carpenter. So yes, any sort of touch. Taylor Hines would need a second invitation. Calzente over this set piece. By Fox. The glove to Hampton. Line to Thompson. of the away support.
Just wonder here when Lauren James has the ball, who's coming to help? Who's dropping? Lucy Bronze, get yourself to the byline so Lauren James has an avenue out. She doesn't have an option. She's got to try and figure something out herself. Yes, she wins the foul, but need more for the player who has the ball. They need to move a little bit more quicker to become an option.
Bit too much for Fox. Good idea.
Yeah, really clever run from Caitlin Ford. Creates the space for Blackstinian. Good touch, and it's unlucky. It's the right idea.
Robust but fair challenge. James loses it and Taylor Hine picks her head up. Finds Caitlin Ford. To go around Lucy Bronze and the corner kick is given. Just on the right side of the line there for Bronze.
Direct Caitlin Ford gets around, yeah, a little touch. Just gets her studs on the ball.
Always taking a risk. Going to Brown.
Interesting, Chelsea leaving 2 players up. Leaves a massive space for Olivia Smith on the edge of the box, as it did in the first half as well.
It's quite a sparse penalty area actually. But yeah, Olivia Smith free as a bird on the edge just in case. Oh, Baxinia's got a head to it. Smith takes it on. Lands against Kira Walsh. No foul. But a big decision from the referee, and that's a perfect ball for Zanka. Cutting save, and it's a brilliant save from Van Domselaar on the stretch.
Really, really good save. It would have been interesting if it had gone in, what VAR would have done with the Katie McCabe-Nuskin challenge. It's a fantastic pass, great run from Zanka. It's a really good first touch. Emily Fox does really well to get herself back in. Van Domselaar's high off her line as well for the strike to Zanka, but it's a fantastic save.
Sprung into action. Here comes James with the corner. That looks closer from up here than it really was. It's another corner kick for Chelsea. Suddenly, that last passage of play a bit more energy. James once again with the outswinger, Bronze throwing herself at it. Thompson back to James. Drop of the shoulder. Oof! Lands on the roof of the net.
Was a little bit wider than the goal she scored last week, but we know the power she can generate when she comes inside. Just gets under it a little bit too much.
Absolutely magnificent. Oh, but last week at the Emirates. Ford playing in, Blackstinian, Bronze getting a foot in. James is opening up a bit now. Shove from McCabe.
A little bit of payback, I think.
chemistry to win that back. Hopeful ball in, Nuskin nearly on the end of it. Bronze. Frank Kirby already has her hands up.
The thing is, it delays an attack now. She's got the space on the edge of the box. I understand why maybe she's gone for it, but I just think in that moment to stay in the attack, keep the ball on the pitch, keep moving it around. You stepped in front of your marker. You're the one that's in control of the game. I think it's a little bit rash, but I understand with the state of the game, she maybe thinks that just go for it.
Still 10 minutes into the second half, so quite time to panic on just yet. Delivers. Wild clearance. To play. Shinner from Kinlistle. Corner kick, and Chelsea ready to make a substitution. First ball taken short. James towards the back post. Caden Ford up against Sam Kerr. To wriggle away from that challenge.
Really good pace from Caden Ford. Strong in the tackle with Sam Kerr. Pace to get back in. Sustain possession. You don't have to go forward. You've got no one with you. Just turn around, had a look, kept the ball, and now they've won the foul. Really good play.
Double change, getting ready for Chelsea. Trying to play it back to Simeon. Tonight, but just keeping the defence honest, keep making those runs.
Yeah, it takes one moment where they switch off and you can get yourself in behind. And she's been scoring a lot of goals for Arsenal this season, and sometimes people criticise her for not taking all the chances that she gets, but it just takes one moment for them to switch off, a little bit of fatigue, get yourself in behind.
Chelsea ready to make a double change, and it is the captain Erin Cuthbert who is being withdrawn. Gives the armband to Kira Walsh. So Sandy Baltimore coming on in her place. Interesting to see where she lines up, and Lee Charles also coming on for Kadisha Buchanan. So Charles with her second substitute appearance of the week after missing 3 months of action, battling for it and taking a ball in the face. Okay. noticeable difference in the setup from these changes?
So it looks like Neve Charles has gone out to the left full-back area. Sandy Baltimore, who we see now on the ball on the left wing. Berman has gone into centre-back. So just a look at the same formation, just different personnel.
Fabulous first season, Chelsea. Keith Hogan losing the domestic treble last season, going unbeaten every domestic competition last season.
It was a bright spark for Chelsea at the beginning of the season. I think she had a really good start to the season, and then kind of in and out of the team a little bit now, and just dropping off a little bit, not having that flow as she did probably at the beginning of the season.
Half the hour mark, when do we see Chelsea really throw caution to win? Take a few more risks. Save down. A bit of discomfort. There's half Lange.
I don't think she meant that one. I think it's just unlucky with the way she stood. I think it's right though. It's a yellow card. She doesn't mean to do it, but
Yellow card. This is being checked in the background, whether it should be upgraded. That didn't look intentional at all.
I don't think there was any movement of the legs to go down with any force. Normally it's a change of pace in the force, and it didn't look like she'd done that on purpose.
Again, interesting to see how Arsenal approach this last half an hour or so.
I don't think they need to change much. I think they're defending very well, they're being compact, they're working extremely hard off the ball, they're not risking anything in the final third, they're not turning the ball over aimlessly, so I think they'll be really happy with the way that they've, especially in this second half.
McCabe goes long. Carpenter turning into Blackstinius. Clash between James and McCabe. Flag has gone up. Schedules for both of these sides hoping to take up action over the Easter weekend. Chelsea at Spurs, Arsenal to Brighton. His substitution trying to combine. Make sure you listen to Women's Football Weekly BBC Sound. Ellen White, BT and Ben Haynes with Football Weekly every week, and also lots of extras as well. Also on sound, the Wayne Rooney Show. So listen and watch that one on the iPlayer. Yellow card for Taylor Hyde. First one of the night for time wasting.
It's interesting, none of the Chelsea players were complaining. The ref just made the decision herself, and obviously she was on it from the minute one with the goalkeeper, so I think she just had enough of how long they were taking their head going.
trying to stay onside.
Really clever from Caldente. She saw Blackstenius had just strayed offside, no point in playing the pass. Keep possession for your team.
Blackstenius looks offside and yes, flag goes up. Walsh. Veteran forward. Jane. I think she fancies herself now. Puts it through for Charles. Digs out the cross. Kerr looked inches away.
Yeah, it looked like she planned her run perfectly there for the ball. Good little ding. I wonder if she lost track of it in the air. Normally Sam Kerr in their position, she's getting on the end of them. It doesn't look like it's too far away from her.
Trying to keep the energy up. Arsenal now making a double change. Olivia Smith, like the rest of the Arsenal starting 11, has worked tirelessly to keep Chelsea at bay, so she is off. Now Beth Mead will take up the mantle. Try to see this one out. Emily Fox also off for Smila Aubert.
Yeah, a bit of a different game for Olivia Smith tonight, I think. I mean, it's shown probably more her out of possession. We're normally seeing her in possession, driving, the pace, the power. She's worked very hard defensively, not had as much of the ball as probably she would have liked to and what she's used to. But nevertheless, she's done a really good job for her team, and then Beth Mead can come in now, a bit of fresh legs.
Thompson still looks fresh. Looks to throw. What she intended on that occasion.
No, she's trying things. We know, like, the whole first half she was trying this one, doesn't get it right this time. But we know she's looking for Sam. She's looking for Sam Kerr in that moment. She wants to cut inside and find Sam Kerr. She knows she's dangerous in the air.
Dispossessed by Kim Little. Russo setting Blackstenius away. Not too much support she does now. It's Beth Mead. Now Ford. Plenty in the middle now from a Chelsea perspective. Nuskin fires it forward.
Yeah, it was sloppy there from Shokinivskin. Lost the ball in the middle of the pitch. Massive hole in the middle, and Alicia Ripper could drive forward. It's a good run from Blackstenius. Takes herself a little bit too wide, I think, to get the shot off, but then Arsenal do really well at just retaining the ball. Great touch.
Really well taken down. Aubert moves to the byline. Blackstenius spins directed on target. Room here for Caitlin Ford. Can Arsenal wrap this up? Yeah, So driving low and easy bit of defensive work from Carpenter. Well, Thompson keeps it in, but gives it straight to the opposition. Russo wins the corner.
I think Arsenal look more like the team who want to score a goal. They're the ones who are creating the chances. Fantastic first touch here. Great delivery. Just hits it against her own leg. Needs to be a little bit more conviction in her strikes, but for me, Arsenal look like the team who actually want to get a goal and look like the team not behind, because obviously they're playing the game, but Chelsea needs to do a little bit more, I think, to create chances, to be better in possession.
Boy got ahead to it.
She got in front of her marker there, I think. Gets away from Kerr.
Always a threat from those situations.
Chelsea just starting to get a little bit sloppy. Fatigue may be an element, but yeah, just not taking care of the passes. Not crisp enough. Getting locked on the outside. Lucy Bronze keeps coming down this right hand side. They're getting locked. They need to find a way to switch the play.
Russo, wonderful skill. Forced to Russo. Away from Nuskin. It's Russo! Well, why not?
She's had some really nice touches in this game, and I think playing in this 10 role just gives her more freedom to get involved. It just gives her the space to get involved and do moments like this, and of course she's going to take that strike. I think for me, her and Lotte Moy tonight have been the two best players on the pitch.
Just a real contrast there. At the moment at least, this can change if Chelsea manage to make the breakthrough. Just in terms of confidence, Chelsea looks like they lack a bit of belief now with these straight passes. Although, of course, Lauren James can always create something, not on that occasion.
This is what Arsenal are waiting for now. This is what they're playing for. They're possessing the ball very well, but they also know the transition, the counter-attack is going to kill Chelsea.
And Mead opening up for her. Forced a little wide, and it's over the top. Braxtonian probably came at her a little quickly.
Beth Mead is known for this chop. She's known for it, but you know as defenders, when you get tight to her, Sandy Baltimore drops off, little chop there, you know she's going to do it. I think she should do better. Maybe it has come at her a little quick. Yeah, maybe too quick for her to react, but then you saw Caitlin Ford behind her as well, who was also in a really good position. But Arsenal counter-attack, possession-wise, they're dominating the game.
Delivers Kerr! Flag is up anyway, and that was too close to Van Dosselaar.
The same situation as I'm saying about Blackstone. It's one moment. You know Lauren James is looking for it. Yeah, strays offside. It's close, but she's offside. And just one moment now, Arsenal having a chance one end, Chelsea the other end. It's going to start opening up a little bit more now.
Still 15 minutes of normal time left to play. Chelsea need a little bit more of that creativity from Lauren James and others, of course. But it does seem like if something is going to happen and it's going to come through Manchester James, who is well capable of.
I think the problem Chelsea have at the moment is it is just Lauren James. You need to have more players who are going to contribute, who are going to create things. Yes, she's a fantastic player and she will create their moments for you, but others also have to be involved in that.
half-time ball in.
She's looked confident tonight, Van Donselaar. I think she made a little bit of an error for one of the goals at the weekend. Rene trusted her, brought her back in. She's looked confident, she's looked strong in her positioning, claiming the ball. I think it's been a good performance by her.
They're not selected for the first leg, but 6 for game at the Emirates. Baltimore finding a bit of space. And again, Kern in the right place, just half a yard away.
I think she would have been offside again if it had got to her, but these are the moments that Santa's waiting for. It's another good delivery from Baltimore. It's just the final bit that's lacking for Chelsea at the moment.
James just didn't quite catch it. Really wouldn't surprise anyone here if that had smashed into the back of the net.
I think Moy does enough there to put her off. Just puts her arm across, good defending, a little bit of contact, makes her off balance. She can't get a solid strike, because we know also in them areas Lauren James can be deadly. I think they get lucky there, Chelsea. I think they get lucky. Nice little touch. A little bit of contact, but I don't think it's enough.
Not a decision on that from Kira Walsh. Too many Chelsea players not showing their true quality.
Just don't look calm on the ball. Don't look calm when they're in the final third, the final pass, the decision making. It all just looks a little bit rushed. And of course, there's pressure on the game. There's immense pressure on the game, but they have to do more in this last 10 plus minutes to get something from the game. They've got to show a little bit more in the final third.
Against Charles, manages to shake her off.
She's offside again there, Maxinius.
Lucky to let this play out. Cross comes in. It's there.
It will be interesting if she is offside now.
At the moment, it's Dina Blackstenius who celebrates, putting this game to bed for Arsenal.
It's a fantastic cross. Just dings it up, finds themselves, these two Arsenal players who find themselves free in the box there. It's a good finish from Blackstenius. It will be interesting to see if she is offside. No, maybe the left shoulder, maybe. Looks like she maybe holds it well, but look, she doesn't give up, she gets into the box. She doesn't just admire the pass. She gets in ahead of Lucy Bronze. It's a fantastic finish. It's a great header. It'll be interesting with all the lines now to see. It's very, very close.
This is being checked, and it's going to be a very close one. It's a beautiful cross from home there. Blackstenius.
Really well played goal as well. The pass from Caldente out to Beth Mead. Offside. So I think it's the left shoulder from Blackstenius, but it's a fantastic way of playing. Caldente out to Beth Mead. Beth Mead holds the ball up, comes inside, delivery into the box. Really well worked goal.
That would have been game over.
Would have.
Now Chelsea must take advantage. James, inches wide. Brilliant effort, diving, contorting, Nuskin.
It's Lauren James again, using her strength. Gets across the defender, hungry to get there, she just can't guide it in. Everything is right, everything she does is right, just can't get it on target. What a couple of minutes.
For the lifeline for Chelsea.
Chelsea were a bit stale leading up into. I wonder if that lifeline for them is going to spur them on a little bit, but they need to come to life now. They haven't done enough so far in the second half. Arsenal defended very well, been very good in possession. The lifeline might help Chelsea.
Well, something to spur them on. This goal might just be what they needed. Time running out. They still need 2 goals. James. Few claims for foul in there. Nuskin gets to her feet. Changes coming for both sides. In the meantime, here's Charles. Baltimore. Just crowded out. Aldente. And Russo, fabulous. Touch away from Bronze. Accelerating away. Played by Hampton.
Done so well. Just wonder if he should have just played Blackstinian through. But it was amazing play from Lester. So she's been on top form tonight with her little touches, the way she's been moving, taking the ball with confidence. Chelsea are switching off completely defensively. Just runs it a bit too long.
Foul on Bronze by Russo, who just showed a bit too much to the England teammate. He got a bit giddy. And changes coming. Kira Walsh is withdrawn. Vika Kapstein on in her place for Chelsea.
Been quiet tonight, Kira. Not really involved in the play. Maybe it's the way that Chelsea is setting up, but hasn't been too much involved.
And then we have Frida Mornham on.
I think it'll be a back 5 now. Back 5 for Arsenal. See the game out. Defensively, been very, very good.
Yes, like Adina, centre back, come on as well. Aldente and Blackstinian, the players who are off. Say, in terms of a away second leg, Carpenter's cross. Vika Kapstein taking it on. Balls nicely for Charles. Plays it back in a corner for Chelsea.
Kapstein, she has to just slide Neve Charles there. She doesn't have the shot, is not available for her. I understand you want to get strikers in these moments, but you slide the ball to Neve Charles, she has a better angle.
James. Bit away from Becky. It's James! Off the post! Warner Berman so unlucky.
It's Lauren James again. It's a fantastic save. Comes inside, little shimmy, shot. Very, very unlucky, but Arsenal get away with one there. It's a great strike, great save. A bit central, probably expected to make the save. Really unlucky with the rebound, and Arsenal clear it.
Just feel like it's not going to be their night. Still time, and they're now looking a lot more threatening on the Arsenal goal. They have to be. Kerr with the touch. Charles. Finds Kapstein. Medina with the foot in. Desperate clearance is Carpenter, now James. Support and Lucy Bronze. Oh, McKay was a bit of but he cannot be given in those circumstances.
Yeah, she handles it really well. Maybe gets a shout from a teammate to know she's coming, but yeah, them ones can always kick the back of the attacker who's trying to press you.
James. Typical touch, his false spot. To work the space to the cross. She gets it in. We've got the last touch there. Chelsea throw. 4 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. It's always going to happen with the scoreline as it is. Arsenal now trying to hold what they have. Trips it in, it's a great header, it's another good save! And it's unbelievable from Van Dijk!
What a save! Incredible. Chelsea coming to life a little bit now. Van Dijk keeping the scoreline the way it is.
Kind of destined for the net.
Fantastic header. Brilliant save. Brilliant save. And this is when your luck's in or not. The ball bounces outside rather than inside. It's unbelievable save. Unbelievable.
Nuskin did everything right there, really. The reactions from Van Dijk. Two top saves in quick succession. Here's Bonham. Sadly, Arsenal not committing too many players forward. And now Carpenter taking up a central position. She's robbed by Kim Little. Feeds it down the line to Ford.
Really good play there by Kim Little. Gets her body in front of Carpenter. Knows Carpenter's pace, but she knows if she gets in front of her, she can't get away. Really good from the Arsenal captain.
Hines with a foot in now. And it's 3-on-3. 4 actually, if Arsenal wants to work it. Hines heading to the corner flag and being ushered there by Lucy Bronze. Bronze is the one that is fouled.
Yeah, smart from Taylor Hines. She looks up. Yes, they have a 3-on-3, but there's no obvious pass, so take the ball to the corner, delay as much as you can.
Yellow card for one of Arsenal's coaching staff. The referee now not happy with where Chelsea are taking the free kick from. Five minutes of stoppage time, and now Arsenal can wrap this up. It's Frida Mornham. Beth Mead is screaming for it. It's Mead! Off the post! Maybe this game just wasn't meant to have a goal. They could have had several.
I think Marnham takes too long to pass the ball. She has to play it quicker. By the time Beth Mead gets the ball, she has to take a touch and
say. Those occupying the shed end are absolutely loving this.
Yeah, clever play. You've got nothing, you're not chasing anything. Take the ball to the corner. Here, play it quicker. Takes too long. By the time she gets the ball, Neve Charles got back in. I mean, she does very well to get a strike, but she wanted the ball earlier so she could take it first time to shoot. Really, really, really unlucky.
Restart. Goal kick. Chelsea are going to conjure up a miracle. Goal needs to go in now. Round the corner. Deep cross in. Might fall for Carpenter. Taking forward to wrap her foot around that. Arsenal in possession. Tired legs from Chelsea. Caitlin Ford. In behind. Ford. Unselfish. Maybe she should have been a bit more selfish.
Yeah, I think Chelsea and that's it. They're done. They can't run anymore, and Arsenal are doing everything right. They're just running them, taking it to the corner.
2 minutes of stoppage time. Baltimore. Clinical finish from Nuskin, but is it too late? Chelsea lead on the night. They still need one more to take this to extra time.
Yeah, it's a fantastic finish by Nuskin. She gets in front of the player. Stamps her, great run. Kadina, you need to get tighter. You need to go. You need to not allow this cross to come in. Lotte Wibbenmoy switches off. Nuskin gets in front, and it's a fantastic finish to wrap her foot around that on the left foot. I worry it's a little bit too late for Chelsea now, but I think in the overall grand scheme of things, they had to do more on the night to create more chances.
Arsenal back at the corner flag with Caitlin Ford. Well, the decision's been given the other way. Final few seconds here. Thompson. Katie McCabe. No foul. That is curious.
I'm not sure on that one. I think it's either a shirt or a hair that she gets hold of there.
That is incredible. Here we go, Arsenal with Hoberg and Mead. The clock ticks over, 5 minutes have been played, although the goal might add a few more seconds on. Well,
yeah, it's a hairpull. It's a hairpull.
I think
I'm surprised they haven't checked this back.
I think she's lucky there. She really, we've seen red cards for that.
Yeah.
And you can see why Sonia Bonpastor is absolutely furious.
I don't think she means to grab her hair. I don't think anyone in the women's game tries to grab someone's hair. I think she's gone to grab her shirt. But then you have to make sure. You have to make sure that you're not grabbing onto someone's hair. And I think she's very lucky there.
Well, the emotions running high on the touchline, as you can see.
Sonia's gone.
And Sonia Bonpascal gets a second yellow.
I understand the frustration from that moment. I really do. I really understand it. But if you're looking at the game, I just don't think they've done enough. And Arsenal have defended very well, and they actually probably should be ahead with the opportunities that they have created. But I can understand Sonia's frustration.
One more chance, and now the Arsenal bench are hopping mad. The fourth official's really getting in the ear here. Last chance. Referee's going to allow this. Hampton fires it in. Every single blue shirt is forward, and it's cleared. Still we play on. Bronze is promising, but Vika Kaptein, a difficult opportunity.
Yeah, I think that was the last chance. That was the last chance for Chelsea.
And there we have it. Defeat on the night for Arsenal, but victory in the tie. It takes them to the semi-finals and another step closer to defending their Champions League title. Chelsea, crestfallen, broken, another missed opportunity to get the one trophy that they so crave. But this tie, well, you've got to say it was pretty much done at the Emirates. If not for tonight, they huffed and puffed and eventually made the breakthrough, but too little, too late. Arsenal progress to the semi-final, and apart from that one concession of a goal, Fran, a pretty much perfect away second leg display from them.
Yeah, absolutely. They allowed Chelsea to have the ball. They were comfortable in their block defensively. They worked extremely hard. They probably, with the opportunities, could have gone on and won the game, actually. So I think Arsenal will be really, really happy and proud of the performance. Chelsea, they came into it, of course, getting the goal, getting the opportunities was going to give them momentum, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to win the game tonight, but it was a different performance from Arsenal in terms of we're used to them having the ball, having possession, drawing teams out. But I think it showed a different side to Arsenal tonight. It showed what they can do when they have to defend, and they defended very well. And like I said earlier, I think Alessia Rousseau was phenomenal tonight. I think the way that she moved to dictate the game, and Lotte Wubben-Moy as well, the way that she handled that back line, almost perfect from Arsenal, apart from the goal, obviously.
So more decisions for Chelsea to, well, talk about, but overall the Gunners deserve victors over the two legs. 1-0 defeat for Arsenal on the night. They go through 3-2 on aggregate, full time at Stamford Bridge, and Arsenal through to the semi-finals.
Yes, thank you very much to Robin and to Fran. So Arsenal victorious. They continue their defence of their Champions League title as the players of both sides gather in the pitch. A victorious team huddle there, Ellen, for Arsenal. Renee Slagers, yes, she'll be disappointed with that late goal, but as Fran said in commentary, that was a near perfect execution tonight, wasn't it?
It was a brilliant performance. I would say professional performance, diligent, the work rate, the togetherness. I think their game plan came together so well. They probably could have even scored one in the second half. Caitlin Thorne had a clear chance, a clear opportunity, but they won't care about that. They soaked up all the pressure from Chelsea. Yes, disappointed to obviously concede, but I think a lot of their work was done in that first leg, and then they just had to soak up that pressure again in this leg tonight. But a fantastic performance.
Did it ever look in doubt? Did they ever look out of control of this tie?
Probably only that last 2 minutes, if I'm being honest. I think when Chelsea get that goal, and that's what we expected throughout the game, but I think for Arsenal you see a real maturity in this team. I think you see they are the current holders of the Champions League, and I think they know what it takes to win at this level, and I think that was definitely the case tonight. I think whatever Chelsea threw at them, they've been able to cope with it, especially Van Domselaar. You think in them moments when you need your keeper to pull out some worldy saves, she really did that.
The reason you might see us looking over our shoulder is just to the right down there are the Arsenal fans, 3,000 of them in here this evening as the Arsenal players go over and celebrate with them. They've they've been given a performance to be proud of tonight. And in recent weeks, the performances, you look at the North London derby at the weekend, the first leg at the Emirates last week, it does feel like maybe now they're kind of reaching their peak at the right time in the season. Absolutely. They probably didn't have the start to the season they would have liked, but they've just grown and really created this form, this maturity, as Steph said, that togetherness, the players building that connection, that fluidity. Rennie Sagers doesn't tweak too much with her starting 11, just some finer little, tweaks that worked really well this evening. But yeah, those fans were phenomenal this evening, and the players put on a big performance for them to take them into the semi-finals. Chelsea did push, they did probe, particularly as you mentioned, Steph, towards the end of that second half. They got the goal, but they had other chances as well that they'll look back on and really rue, won't they?
Yeah, especially in the first half and in the second half. I think in all the chances, Kelly, came from probably Lauren James being involved in somewhat way, and that's Van Domselaar with a save, that's Berman following up, hitting the post, and this was a time when Chelsea were actually on top, and Lauren James was at the heart of everything. But I think for me, when Chelsea are at the best is when they're putting crosses in the box and they're getting bodies in. Even for this instance, this is Lucy Braun's Arsenal have dropped really deep, but a fantastic header, unbelievable save and follow-up, and I think you need that little bit of luck in a quarter-final of a Champions League to kind of go your way. And even though Chelsea pushed, I really do feel as though the fine margins are at this level. I think you've got to take your chances, but also how you create them chances is really crucial. I don't think Chelsea did that probably until the last 15-20 minutes.
They did keep going and they did get that goal, but as Fran said in commentary, and as it proved to be, it was just too little too late. Yeah, and I feel like where was this Chelsea, in the first leg, in the second leg, they were going for it, they were putting crosses in the box, as Steph said, the desire, the commitment to get on the end of a cross by Nuskin. She was everywhere this evening, as was Lauren James. But I just think they created a lot of chances, but just that clinical, composed, calm edge, they just didn't have that this evening. And then obviously, it comes in the last couple of minutes, you score, then you're really fighting and you're really kind of causing chaos. But where was that in the first half? They needed to create that chaos in the first half, really put Arsenal on the back foot. It was only in that last kind of 15-20 minutes we really saw that from Chelsea. We also saw at the end, tempers boiled over a little bit. Sonia Bonpastor was sent off 2 yellow cards, but there was that incident at the end where maybe Katie McCabe, I know it maybe wouldn't have had an impact on the result, was a little bit fortuitous to stay on the pitch.
Yeah, massively, and I think we're all looking at each other in the stands as if VR's here today, so why are they not kind of intervening and trying to change it? But I think, look, by that time the game had kind of gone in terms of what Chelsea were trying to do, but of course Sonia's passionate, she wants her team to win, and I think when you see incidents like that, whether it was a hair pull or a shirt pull, we haven't seen it back yet, but I think Alicia Thompson's through, and I think they've just scored Chelsea, and it could make a bit of a difference, so I can understand the frustration, and I think that's what we need to get better at these levels, is referees being able to see them incidents live, not relying on VAR.
Will Arsenal do go through, but where does this leave Chelsea? I think it's really frustrated again. This is the one that's eluded them, the Champions League. They'll have to go back and reset. Sonia needs to look at her squad building again in the summer, seeing who she wants to keep, but it's a huge end of the season for her. Yeah, it is indeed. It's going to be a huge end to the season for Arsenal as well. They continue their defence of their Champions League trophy. They will face either Lyon or Wolfsburg in the semi-final in the last weekend of April. That's all we've got time for here on BBC Two, but the celebrations from the Arsenal fans and the analysis and reaction will continue over on the BBC iPlayer, so do join us there.
you.